We have Apple, as you know, it's coming in. And I had a little problem with Tim Cook yesterday. I said to him, Tim, you're my friend. I treated you very good. You're coming in with $500 billion, but now I hear you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India.
It all began with a seemingly friendly handshake in Doha. But what followed was a wake-up call that reverberated through corporate offices worldwide. It wasn't your typical diplomatic address. This was a stark message straight from Donald Trump. Tim, we're not okay with you expanding in India, he declared. And just like that, one of the biggest tech companies was thrust into a conflict it never asked for. A clash that pitted global trade against nationalist policies. Trump made it clear. America first meant sidelining Apple if they chose to grow abroad. His focus had shifted from China to India, a country that had become an attractive option for Apple with its low costs and favorable government policies. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to hit that like button. Your support helps us reach more people. This wasn't just another campaign catchphrase. It was a direct warning. In a tense meeting with Cook, the atmosphere was charged. Apple had been carefully relocating its production from China, not back to the US, but to India instead. In just March, Apple sent over 3 million iPhones made in India directly to US consumers, making more than $20 billion worth of products on Indian soil in 1 year. In Trump's eyes, that felt like betrayal. For him, this wasn't just economics, it was about national identity. MAGA isn't about supporting India, he insisted. The air was thick with tension because everyone knew what might follow. Tariffs, investigations, or worse. Apple found itself in a precarious situation. Tim Cook had spent the previous years trying to maintain a good relationship with Trump, navigating through tricky waters, and even earning the nickname Tim Apple after an awkward moment during their interactions. But this time, the stakes had escalated. Trump wasn't playing. His ire was aimed at the very nation Apple had pinned its future on, a future now hanging in the balance. Over in India, the reaction was swift. Officials were simply shocked, not scared or furious. A high-ranking advisor made it clear, Apple is prioritizing global competitiveness, not reacting to political drama. Behind the scenes, Indian leadership grappled with the implications of this escalating situation. When US ministers reached out to Apple, their response was straightforward. They had no intention of shifting their focus from India. It became clear that India was crucial to Apple's global operations, and no amount of presidential pressure would change that. This poised defiance sent shockwaves through Washington, because in that moment, India wasn't just defending its position, it was standing firm against Trump, while Apple opted for New Delhi over the Oval Office. Why is this a big deal? The numbers tell the story. Manufacturing an iPhone entirely in the US would cost over $3,500 per device, while the retail price is under $1,000. To break even, Apple would have to raise the price to around $4,000, a move that no one would support. Trump's demand to relocate production back home wasn't merely impractical, it was simply unfeasible. Despite this, Trump pressed on in public forums, claiming Apple had committed to ramping up its US production. His advisors scrambled to assess if such a shift could even occur, and insiders confirmed the truth. Apple couldn't make that transition without jeopardizing its entire business. So, what was Trump really up to? Playing a strategic game, because while all eyes were on Apple, a significant issue was brewing on the home front. Walmart, the largest retailer in the US, received an explicit warning from the president: do not raise prices. According to him, Walmart should absorb the tariffs and not pass the costs onto consumers. This message came after the Treasury Secretary acknowledged what many shoppers had already suspected. The financial impact of Trump's trade war was about to hit everyday purchases. Walmart, known for its low prices, found itself in a challenging position. The directive was clear: absorb the costs or face the repercussions. Behind closed doors, the Secretary of Treasury contacted Walmart's CEO and learned that despite their efforts, the retailer couldn't sustain all the rising costs. Price increases had already begun, and more were on the way. This wasn't speculation. It was a reality unfolding, and Trump was aware of it. While he touted tariffs as a tool for negotiation, the economic strain was spreading, and shoppers at Walmart were beginning to notice. The true cost of this new approach to nationalism was emerging, rippling through trade relationships, manufacturing sites, and even affecting real estate. The global trade landscape is becoming increasingly unpredictable. As uncertainty looms, wealthy investors have turned their sights to luxury real estate, seeing property as a safer bet compared to factories and exports in Taiwan. At Computex, Asia's largest tech trade show, thousands of tech leaders gathered, not just to unveil new gadgets, but to discuss the looming threat of tariffs. Their chatter wasn't about the next big breakthrough. It revolved around risk. Questions filled the air. Could their chips still make it to the US? Would new sanctions block their shipments? Could a single tweet from Trump disrupt their entire supply chain? Even NVIDIA, the shining star of artificial intelligence, felt the pressure. In a significant shift from just 2 years ago, it announced plans to invest in $500 billion of server hardware production in the US. This was about survival. This situation wasn't just about Apple. It touched every company caught in the crossfire of a global trade skirmish. And right at the center was India, emerging as a crucial battleground. For years, New Delhi has been courting global manufacturers with tax perks, solid infrastructure, and a stable political environment. Apple was a prime target among many, but now it found itself in a precarious position. Trump's ultimatum was straightforward: produce in India or sell in America, but not both. Yet, the reality is far more complex. Apple, wedged between two superpowers, faces a tough choice. If it gives in to Trump, it risks losing its cost benefits. Conversely, if it stands firm against him, it could face tariffs that might drastically impact its profits. The consequences of these decisions could shape the future of the global economy. If Apple holds its ground, it may set a precedent for other companies like Samsung, Microsoft, Intel, and Tesla, prompting them to explore production options in India, Vietnam, or Mexico instead of China. However, if Trump retaliates against Apple, imposing tariffs on iPhones made in India, it could escalate the situation into a trade conflict not only with China, but also with India, a nation of over 1.4 billion people and a rising power. This is not merely a corporate issue, it's a geopolitical situation with the potential for serious consequences. When Trump met with Tim Cook, it was about more than just Apple. It sent a clear message to CEOs, investors, and nations worldwide. You're either investing in America or you're against America. This marks a significant shift in global trade policy, and the effects are likely to be far-reaching. Nationalism is taking center stage like never before. But what happens when the math doesn't add up? What if producing everything in America leads to higher prices? What occurs when tariffs become hidden taxes that hit the low-income families the hardest? These pressing questions are confronting us right now, whether you're shopping at Walmart or checking the latest iPhone models. The conflict is already brewing, and Donald Trump is at the forefront. As a president turned influential figure, he has the ability to change the game of global business with just one statement, and that statement was clear. We're not interested in you making things in India. The next steps are looming, and it's clear that this won't unfold quietly.